We are back on the Rational Boomer podcast. Hopefully, your day is going well. You're listening to this on a Wednesday. We're recording it on a Tuesday night, and as luck would have it, we've got the world traveler activist, Old Soul, with us today. I know people are anxious to hear from Old Soul, but to use a phrase I used early on when I started doing the podcast, you are busier than a one legged man in an ass kicking contest.
That's pretty busy.
That's pretty
I'm not too
busy.
busy right now. I'm kind of on some leisure time for the moment, but
But you're
yeah.
not home. You're not home,
No,
are you?
no, I came to get Grammy and then we're gonna go to visit Kelsey. I'm excited. She's excited slash nervous.
For
Yaya
those
is like she thinks she a pro at traveling. She been to the UK one time and now this girl thinks she's been all over the world, but I'm excited.
Well, you can tell, yeah, I've never been to the UK, so she's got me beat on this. But just so people understand who these characters are, your grandmother is Grammy, right?
That's Kelsey's grandma.
Kelsey's
But
grandma. Okay.
she's family to us. So
Okay. Kelsey's grandma. Uh, um, um, we've got Kelsey, who is better known to a lot of folks as Wild Child.
yeah.
And who's the other one? Who else is going? Oh, Yaya. Yaya
Yeah.
is a 6 year old girl that you adopted.
She's not
Things have
adopted. I
changed.
have guardianship over her for the
Kind of the
foreseeable
same
future.
thing. Kind of the
Yeah.
same thing. Kind of the
Yeah.
same thing.
And it's easier now
So
too, because before, when she was a foster child, we have to like run everything through the state. It takes time. You can't do this, you can't do that. But when we were actually able to contact her, well, my daughter was able to contact her dad and he was able to sign guardianship papers, it is so much easier. So much easier. But yeah, I'm
when you
excited to take.
take and you take this little girl, this Yaya, she's cute as
Yeah.
hell. Seen pictures. Um, she was living with parents that were homeless, and she was kind of running amongst the homeless folks. She was leading a very tough life. It was very tough for a 6 year old girl. She's now living with Old Soul. She's been to the UK. She's going to
Yeah.
Germany. Her life has changed dramatically and for the better.
Yeah, and her little personality is coming through. At first, it wasn't really there because her and her dad stayed in like one of the homeless camps in California. And
Right.
so her you just kind of have to adapt to your environment. And so now it's like her little personality is like coming out and she is so bossy and she is so sassy. She like all the girly frilly stuff and pink, 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 and more pink. She got three babies. Emma, Cupcake, and Ryan. Those are her three little babies that she take everywhere. But yeah, she got a really strong personality. Let me put it like that.
The bossiness seems to run pretty consistent through 6 year olds. My granddaughter's going to be 6 next month, and she's bossy as hell. Mostly just to me, but she's pretty bossy.
She bossy to everybody though. Yeah, yeah. She don't care. She bossy to everybody.
I love watching those little girls just talk some shit, and she can talk some shit, and she
Uh-huh.
knows how to manipulate. They know how to manipulate pretty well for being 6 years old. They figured that shit out.
Yeah, she did. She know who she can get stuff from, who she can't get stuff from. She knows that already, which is like it's crazy. It's crazy. I'm softer, but my oldest daughter is not as soft. So she will, if I'm home, she will always come to me first because I'm like, yeah, sure, no problem, I don't care. But my oldest daughter, she's a little bit more stern than I am.
Anyway, we haven't talked to you in a little while. You're always on um, some adventure, whether it be protesting, whether it be helping people or whatever. What have you been doing since last time we spoke?
Oh, since I was in Utah, I stayed in
Yeah.
Utah longer than I was supposed to because this is gonna sound crazy, but there's like this big trial out there. And Debbie was like, we should go to the trial. We've gotta go. So I stayed a little longer. We went like it was a really good trial. Like it was had murder, affairs, drug dealers on the stand. It was a lot. That trial is crazy. So we went on a really, really good day. And we didn't even know. So we just showed up and it was like the press was there, some like true crime YouTubers and stuff were there. And we're looking at like, why is all these people here? Like, it's just a normal day. Most people just stream it at home because it's easier. But when we get there, we find out exactly why. So many people was there. It was like a day that it was a witness on the stand that everybody was anticipating. But anyway, we watched it. We had fun. We hung out for a little bit. Um, I got to kick it with my godson a lot. He's ready for me to come back because he's under the assumption that every time I walk through the door, I'm going to bring gifts, which I'm going to do.
Yeah,
So
I know
yeah,
the feeling.
I went home for a little bit and then now I'm here.
Now, there are probably some people saying, why would Old Soul go to a trial in Utah where she doesn't know anybody involved in the trial? And you have to understand, and I can relate to this completely. Old Soul is kind of a true crime freak, much like my wife is. We're in the car listening to true crime stuff, and it's interesting sometimes. But these true crime stories, there's only so many of them. So you listen to Dateline, and you hear the story, and then you go to 2020, and it's a variation of that same story, and then you go to any of the other places, and it's the same stuff. But you guys are kind of freaks about it. It had to be fun to be there for real.
It was, and anybody who knows anything about true crime, they know who Corey Richards is. And that's the trial that everybody was watching. And I don't know what's going on in Utah, but it is like I don't want to I don't want to say that what these women are doing is a result of them being oppressed in any type of way because some of the stuff that they're doing is not excusable. But we have Corey Richards who just like murdered her husband with her children in the next room. Then you have the woman from Utah who came to Vegas for the cheerleading competition and she shot herself and her daughter in a hotel room here in Vegas from Utah. Um, there's just like so, and then there's another girl in Utah right now who, she couldn't get an abortion. Nobody knew she was pregnant. They found her dead baby. She gave birth to the baby and put the baby in her clothes basket or something like that. You have Lori and Chad Daybell, who killed her two children in Utah so she can go and be with this guy. And they're talking all this religion stuff about the 44,000. It was just crazy. So I don't know. And now you have The Bachelorette, you know about that. And that
Yeah.
video came her beating the crap out of her then boyfriend or whatever. So it's just kind of like, I don't know what's going on with these women in Utah, but it's kind of like there's only so much oppression that you can do with women before they start to
I'm
I don't know
curious.
I don't
Did you
know.
find did you find Utah kind of a weird? I mean, going from Nevada, Las Vegas, Nevada to Utah, that is quite a contrast. That's a much different situation, and where you are in Utah, it's majority Mormons, which for
Oh
all
yeah.
intents which for all intents and purposes in my book is a cult. I lived in a town with a bunch of Mormons. They were very nice to me, but I know behind my back they thought I was a fucking heathen and they were trying to convert me. But when you deal with that kind of person, here's the thing: you're talking about all these women going nuts. When you think about Project 2025, that's kind of the real thing with the Mormon group, isn't it? Or in
It is.
Utah? I mean, not all of Utah, because I've been to Utah and there's some normal areas too, but that Mormon community is just a weird community. And I'm saying that because I grew up Lutheran. To me, it's weird. Maybe it's not to some other people, but I think it's fucking weird.
It is. I am 40, like I'm 43 and Debbie is 41. Her ex-husband is in his 70s. And in the church that she grew up in, she was like, okay, so if you've been like assaulted physically, then you're kind of like damaged goods. And it's
Oh,
like your
really?
fault. Yeah, because like it's your fault. Why did you go to a party without a chaperone? Why did you go on a date without a chaperone? Why did you wear a skirt? Why did you do this? Why did you do that? So certain things will make you like kind of like damaged or whatever. And another thing that can make you damaged is like fertility issues and that type of stuff. So if you're not like 25 married with at least like a couple of kids, then you're kind of like
Right.
some old spinster or something. And so
Right.
she had a health issue where she wouldn't be able to have children. And so she was considered like damaged. And so when you have like damaged women or girls within the church, then it's kind of like older men when their wives die or whatever the reason is, they get to kind of like pick from those younger girls. So that's kind of like how that went. Now, if I was her, I wouldn't want to stay in Utah, but she's a strong person. So she stays there. She helps other girls who have been either excommunicated from the church or have left the church for one reason or another. So like that's her main reason for staying there is like to, help those girls and those women out. But it's it's a lot. It's a lot that yeah, I don't have any further comment on that. Those people out there are a lot, a
It's a
lot.
weird
Like,
community because they were very nice to me when I was there. I was a kid. I didn't have any interest in becoming a Mormon. They were very nice, but you knew
yeah,
they had an agenda that they were trying to convince you to convert because that's what they do all the time is try to convince people to convert. I told them, I said, look, I'm 19 years old. My mom spent 19 years trying to make me a Lutheran. That didn't fucking work. You in the short time I'm going to be here, you're not going to flip me into something where I have to change my whole life because I like drinking and getting in trouble and doing all that stuff at 19. I'm not giving that away. I'm not buying the bullshit.
yeah. It's interesting that you said that because it is in their doctrine that they are supposed to convert people. That's why they go on those
Yeah.
missions. Joseph Smith was like a real big believer in that, and that's who they follow. And so, yeah, that is part of their mission is to convert. Um, and then if you don't convert or if you're not open to their belief system, then they don't care about you because you're just going to hell anyway. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So
They refer in Arizona where I lived. My boss, who was a young guy, he was 30 years old at the time. I was 19, 20. Um,
yeah,
he had a wife and like four kids by the time he was 30. And I don't know how many he had ultimately. Good guy, nice guy. He was a good boss, but he had a
yeah.
brother who was younger and wild, not really conforming to the Mormon way of life. And they called him a Jack Mormon. And he and I used to just go out and fucking raise hell. I was hanging out with a Mormon who really wasn't a Mormon.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of those things, and people don't understand. So when you see like a lot of those men, and I don't know if you just saw that the one of the other Duggar sons just got arrested with his wife for
Yeah, I was
um,
going to ask, is that a different one than the first one? This is the
yeah,
second one?
the
Wow.
second one. Yeah. So the first one when he was arrested, his wife didn't have anything to do with it, but this one he was arrested, and his wife also got arrested as well. I don't know how because when his the oldest son, the brother, his CSAM, which is people don't know is child sexual abuse material, was like the abuse of very, very young children, including babies.
Oh,
This
wow.
brother, it was like a 9-year old. And so I'm thinking that if there are any other victims that come forward, maybe it might be in that same age group because they kind of like have their own little preferences, people like that. And so I'm thinking that maybe that could be his preference, but we don't know yet. When more stuff will come out and we'll figure that out. But yes, this is another one. And by the way, if anybody doesn't know, when their father was running for office, one of his goals and one of his agendas that was on his website at the time was that any child abusers, incest, molestation, anything like that, they are up for the death penalty. Now you got two of his sons that, if he was in charge of the laws, would be up for the death penalty. But
You know,
it's pretty
when
much.
you talk about a guy like that saying, "Oh, child abusers should have the death penalty," it makes me think of Donald Trump. When they go hard against something, they're probably
Mhm.
guilty of it. Now, these two boys didn't become child abusers just out of thin air. There had to be some other kind of behavior that led them to this. Maybe abused themselves. I don't know, but
That's a
it's
huge
yeah,
topic in true crime right now. Is like the first son is just kind of like, and then he was doing this to his sisters when he was in his teens, like 15
right.
years old. he was doing that to his sisters. And so in the true crime community, everybody that's following that case is like, where did the children get that from? We know why the girls were kind of like, oh, well, he only did this to us. And they were like downplaying their abuse because that's what they're taught to do. And they're also
Right.
taught, yeah, this is your fault. If you fall asleep on a sofa with your brother, what do you think is going to happen to you? Like, they're taught to blame themselves. So we understand why the sisters and the girls act the way that they act. But for these perpetrators, it's like, where did it come from for him to be abusing his sisters and his teens? You know, and then this other one, if there's one victim, there's like 50 more that we're not seeing. So it's just kind of like, where did they get this from? But I don't know about this one because he was 31 and the girl was 9. So I don't know if it went to his teens or not, but yeah, it's crazy. It's wild. It's so wild.
It's some sick shit. I want to talk about religion later on, but I wanted to bring this up because I'm figuring you know something about this. The 28th this weekend is No
Yeah,
King's Day again,
listen.
and it sounds like it's going to be a big deal here in Minnesota because Bruce Springsteen's going to sing his Minnesota song, Minneapolis
Yes,
song. Uh, Bernie Sanders is going to be here. Some other people. It's going to be a big turnout here in Minnesota, but I suspect it's
excited
going
for
to be like
y'all.
that all over the country.
Yeah, I am so excited for it, for like the hubbub to be in your state. Like, I'm just excited for it. I'm so sad that I'm gonna miss it, but I'm excited for you guys. Are you excited?
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I think anytime people, I mean, we're seeing people now turning a little bit, even Republicans. I don't know if you heard in Florida on Tuesday
Too,
night,
right?
there were two state seats that were up for reelection. One was in a district with Mar-a-Lago. It was
Mm-hmm.
a stronghold for Republicans, and it was the Donald Trump endorsed candidate lost to the Democratic candidate, Emily Griffin, I think her name is. So that Republican seat is now Democrat. And there was another seat, and I'm not sure where it was in Florida, but another seat that they expected to go Republican, and of course went Democrat. To me, that seems like a an omen of sorts. If you're in Florida, right in Donald Trump's hometown, and that flips to Democrat, that should make Republicans a little nervous.
It should make them very nervous. But I don't understand why they think anything other than this would happen. I really don't. Like, for me,
I
I
don't
would
either.
like, when it comes to MAGA and Republicans, they're all like, oh, you're sorry now, and we're just going to welcome you back. I never felt like anybody voting for Trump like that was on my side in the first place. So I'm not looking at
Right.
them as like welcoming them back. I'm looking at them as like, oh, now y'all want to come over here. It wasn't so
Yeah.
good over there. I want to come. That's how I look at it. And it's just kind of like they don't have a safe place to fall within the Democratic Party or the independents because nobody is like accepting them into those groups. And so on their own, they're having to suffer and struggle and figure it out. And because they don't really have that camaraderie or that community that they thought they had, it's like 10 times worse for them than what probably we even think that they're experiencing, especially when you have friends and family and children cut off, and then you lost your job and all of that that comes with that. And so, of course, they are going to be bitter and angry about that. They're not going to vote for the person that's, they're not going to take responsibility for their vote that they cast against Trump, but they are going to blame Trump and the Republican Party for the vote that they made. They got to blame somebody. They're not going to blame themselves.
I get the feeling with Republicans, what may be happening is the Republicans will not want to vote for anything Trump because of whatever suffering they're going through, whether it be financial or whatever.
Yeah.
But they don't necessarily they can't bring themselves to necessarily vote for a Democrat, so they just
Yeah.
probably won't vote at all. Which I'm cool with because if they don't vote at all, we're still going to win.
You see that a lot in the focus groups where they
Really?
say, you know, if you had a chance to do it all over again, would you have voted for Kamala? And they say no, we would have just stayed at home. Like, yes, I lost my job. Yes, I'm struggling. I can't eat. I lost my insurance. Like they will say our lives are screwed since Trump was in charge. But I will not have voted for Kamala. I would have just stayed at home and not voted. And I think that's part of it too. Like even those who will not go out and vote for a Democrat, they'll be damned if they vote for a Republican either. So they just sit at home. Um, Speaking of that,
Go ahead.
I got about sitting at home. The last time I was on a podcast and I was talking about Tellerico taking like PAC money, right? And there's a lot of people that were in the it was a couple people in the comment section that just like was like, what? Tellerico took PAC money? Whatever. But then there was other people who was just like, they wished that Jasmine Crockett would have stood up and said something, right? Especially what's her name? Miriam Adelson. She
Yeah.
had two PACs and they donated like $59,000 to Tellerico, right? And I
Mhm.
will say in his defense, his spokesperson said that Tellerico introduced a bill capping campaign donations at like $10,000, which he did introduce that. He said, however, in the meantime, he's not going to not accept PAC money and let Republicans play by another rule and give himself the disadvantage. So he's
Yeah.
like, yes, he accepted that money, but this is why he accepted it, right? And the reason that Jasmine Crockett wasn't going hard for him, in addition to that, they were sending out like flyers for Tellerico against Crockett, and they were like darkening her skin color on those flyers. And she
Right.
did a lot. She was kind of like dancing around the subject, and people didn't understand why she was doing that. The reason that she was doing that is because she didn't want it to turn into like this battle and this back and forth that's going to pit our community against other people and make us hold our votes. She doesn't want us to hold our votes. Republicans don't want people in Florida to hold their votes because when you hold your vote, we get Donald Trump. When Republicans hold their vote, they get Democrats in Florida. And so it's like holding your vote is not the answer. It's not going to help or solve anything for us. Now, Republicans, you can hold your vote all day. But for Democrats, I don't want to see us holding our vote. And then if you are a supporter of Crockett and you know that she did not go after him or call him out because she didn't want people to hold their vote out of bitterness or anger or feeling like
Right.
they were betrayed or lied to. And then you're going to turn around and the way that you support her is by holding your vote. No, you don't hold your vote. You get your butt up and you go out there and you vote and you vote and you vote because that's what you have to do. You're not going to win every time. You're not going to get the perfect candidate ever. So I feel like that's something that we kind of have to address. Like the people who like the reason she didn't do that is because she don't want us doing exactly what we're doing right now. In Florida, Republicans, hold your vote. Don't nobody care about that. But for us, we can't afford to hold our vote. And I think when you look at Florida, you can see what happens when you don't hold your vote. When you actually get up and you go out there and you vote, you can flip seats in freaking Florida. Now, just
Right.
imagine what you could do in Georgia and in Texas if people didn't hold their votes. You know what I mean? You can look at Florida and say, oh, look, Republicans held their vote. They lost. Democrats didn't hold their vote. They actually got up and went and voted and they won. And I think we can use Florida as an example of what happens when we actually do get up and vote versus what happens when we don't, if that makes sense.
I think a lot of people will say, well, I'm not getting exactly what I want, so I'm going to pout and I'm not going to vote for it. And what I
So
try to
selfish.
explain, well, it's selfish and it's stupid. And the reason it's stupid is because this whole political thing is a process. You don't get everything you want every time you want it. And I
Yeah.
explained it to people. I said, look, if you vote for Kamala and that's not who you like, you have a good chance of ultimately getting to where you want to be down the road if you're a little fucking patient. Now, if you vote for
Mm-hmm.
Donald Trump or don't vote at all, you're never going to get it because they're going to make sure you don't get it. This isn't a tough choice. You don't have to be a highly intellectual person to get this. Start on the right path and then fight for what you want. And don't expect everything to be perfect for you every fucking time. Tallarico, I would have preferred Jasmine Crockett, not because I think one is better than the other. It's because I think her energy is better for what they're going into there. But Tallarico is a solid guy too. My only concern is, will he be able to fight at the level he needs to fight when he's in the Senate, assuming he gets there? The problem, though, for the Republicans with Tallarico is they're going to be going so hard trying to find dirt on him. And I don't think there's any dirt on him. I think they're going to come up with something like they did with Obama and go, that motherfucker wore a tan suit. Can you believe that? He should be deported.
Before, I don't know if you saw Donald Trump's post that he made. I just saw it like before I was talking to some children in our community before this, but before I was talking to them, Donald Trump had made a post about Tellerico, said something like, we let him win. And now I don't know the exact words, but the, what he was trying to say was like they let him win, like they backed him, supported him, and let him win, and now they can like release all the dirt that they got on him or some crap like that. That's what they were saying. But I feel like if they had something like that on him, they would throw it out there. But I don't. I think that when it comes to Tellerico, people see him as kind of like that Jesus guy, that guy that can go one on one, like bar for bar with the Bible verses that they try to throw out there. He's like that person that can go bar to bar with them on that, right?
Yeah.
And they miscalculate his political savviness, like they really do. And I think that that's kind of going to be their downfall when it comes to him. I think by the end of this, they are going to wish that they were going up against Jasmine Crockett because she's a Black woman and she's an easy target. And she's not meek or mild. She doesn't hold her tongue for anybody, and she shouldn't. Um, I think that they're going to wish that they had her to battle instead of him because people really do underestimate how political savvy he is. They really, really do.
There was another story that came out. I'm getting this from Occupy Democrats. Pete Hegseth's pastor kind of crossed a line when he asked God to strike Texas Senate candidate James Tellerico dead,
He said in the
called him a
name of
demon, a snake, and a wolf. And this clergyman asked God to strike him dead. Now here's somebody who obviously feels threatened. If you listen to Tallarico, he basically quotes the Bible and he talks about things in the way the Bible intended it to be. And these other religious folks that are supposed to turn the other cheek or at least love one another, they're wishing this guy dead. What it makes you question the validity of their fucking religion.
that post that Trump made was in a response to that pastor and that he was
Oh,
sitting with
okay.
him having a conversation, and Trump's post was like in a response to that, which is
I gotcha.
you're gonna wish somebody dead in the name of Christ. What? I just want to add that to my reasons as to why when Donald Trump does kick the bucket and there's no F's given, all of this, like, I don't like, this is just way too much ammo for anybody to say, how dare you be, I don't want to say happy, but celebrate the death of
Well,
Donald Trump. It's just
well,
like, wait a minute, we celebrated everybody else's death. This is fair game as far as I'm concerned. Fair
Robert
freaking game.
Robert Mueller dies. Donald Trump puts out a post on Truth Social. Robert Mueller is dead. Good. I'm glad now he can't hurt any other innocent people. Donald J. Trump. I've told people this before, and I think Republicans are going to be appalled too when Donald Trump does die. It's not going to be that people are happy or excited. It's going to be Mardi Gras up in this bitch. There'll be people in the streets bigger than King's Day, no King's Day,
Oh yeah.
celebrating the death of this fucking clown. And all these Republicans are going, I can't believe you're doing it. Well, you better believe it, because don't shame me, because I have no shame for cheering the death of somebody as evil as Donald Trump.
I don't think that I think they're gonna flip out when America does it. I don't know. I think their heads are gonna pop off, like literally just separate from their neck when they see the rest of the world celebrating, throwing parties. I could just see it now, dancing in the street. Are you kidding me? The entire world is going to
Yeah.
celebrate when he finally crosses over to wherever he going. They are going to celebrate hardcore days, if not weeks on end, right? And I don't think that they are prepared for that. They are ready to like kind of like try to come at America, like, how dare you do this? That's not appropriate. He was the president, blah, 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 blah. But when you have every single country in this world celebrating this man kicking the bucket, they're gonna lose it.
Puts
And I'm here
I
for it.
put I put it to you this way: if you remember what the world did when Prince died,
Oh,
you got the Eiffel Tower purple and people all over the world paying tribute to Prince.
yeah.
What's going to happen with Donald Trump is going to be even bigger than that, but vastly different. It will be a joyous time, and people will be making fun, and people will be appalled. But I won't be. I mean, when you are able to get rid of evil, the essence of evil, why
Yeah.
shouldn't we be happy? And we're finding out that that's exactly who he is. We were talking beforehand. Kelsey Wildchild is in Germany because she wanted to travel, and she wanted to go in the military. And
Yeah.
because Donald Trump was president, you kind of talked her out of that. And now with us going into Iran, that obviously proved to be the smart choice. Um, it's going to be interesting for you to see what people in a foreign country are talking about. I mean, we know how we talk here, but it's going to be interesting to see what people in Germany actually have to say about what's going here because they're that much closer to Iran.
Yeah, I know for myself, like I she would have went to the military if she could have took me with her. So she
Yeah.
couldn't do that. So like that was like the only way that she would have went. But I already know that, how other countries feel about us. I know how other people who come from other countries that visit here feel about us. Heck, have you seen what's going on with the South Africans, the white South Africans that Trump brought here?
Yeah.
They're going back home. And the
Yeah. They're
reason
not
that
liking this too much.
no, they are pretty much miserable. Where my honey used to work at, like they can't keep anybody there. I don't know if they thought that they would be able to come here. And then I think maybe they thought what MAGA thought. Like when you get rid of all the immigrants, we're gonna get all these really great, nice, cool jobs, right? Like I don't know how they thought they were gonna go from Home Depot to, I don't know, working for NASA and building rockets or something. Like, I don't know what they thought was going to happen. Like, you get rid of the immigrant workforce, and then all of a sudden, you're going to, like, what jobs were they taking from y'all? Like, I don't get that part. They're finding out now. But I think, like, with the white South Africans, they thought that they were just going to come here and they were going to be put on these pedestals and just held higher than everybody else because equality felt like persecution to them. And then from what my understanding is, they have like their flight here is paid for. Their accommodations are paid for, but their accommodations are not good. Like the hotels and the apartments that they're being kept in is not good, which is the same apartments and hotels that like immigrants from other countries have to stay in. So they are kind of like lumped into those situations when they're saying
Right.
that they're staying in luxury hotels. No, they're not. And they are only given $2,000 per month. And they're saying that that $2,000 per month is just not enough. It's not going far enough. And one of them gave an interview saying that he left a 5-bedroom house, not be laughing, to stay in like a dirty motel with mold and roaches. Like he like, I want to go home.
Well, the thing about it is people should have learned by now. Donald Trump comes up with these ideas, and most of it's to try to own the libtard, to try to rub somebody's face in it. But the thing about it is Donald Trump never really has a plan, never has a strategy. He just comes up with this shit out of his ass and does it. Now he did that with these white South Africans, and he did the same fucking thing with going into Iran. That was absolutely ridiculous. That he had no plan, no strategy. He was sucked in by Benjamin Netanyahu, and Donald Trump took the everything hook, line, and sinker, and put himself into a bad situation because he's kind of fucked now.
Yeah, well, at least he sold them a dream. right? Like
Yeah,
you guys are gonna come here, you're gonna be treated like royalty, and then they get here, they don't have free healthcare. Like the top reasons that they want to go back home because they have to like, um, you know, fill out paperwork to go back home, basically. And the reasons
right.
that they're giving is crime. They're citing the mass shootings and guns and stuff being everywhere. They are also citing poor education, which I can vouch for because when my honey's daughters got here, they were like on our definition of like kind of like a fifth grade level, and they were like in the first and second grade. They were just
Right.
miles ahead of the other children in their classes, and they had to like test up. That's how far behind our education was. And my honey was like, "What the? This is America. What's going on with the education system here? It freaking sucks." So they were saying the guns everywhere, the mass shootings, the education. They also said crime, safety reasons, and affordability. They have all been saying, I want to go back home because I can't afford to live in America. There was a woman whose daughter was sick and she didn't know what a deductible was. She got a bill in the mail and she was like, why am I getting a bill in the mail? Like my daughter needed to go to the ER for IV and I got a bill in the mail for that. Like my daughter is sick. Why am I paying for like she couldn't wrap her mind around that. So it's like they can't afford to literally they can't afford to live here. So they just want to go back home. Kind of kills that persecution narrative that he was talking about. But when it came to the war, seriously, he didn't sell us a dream. He's just like, yeah, I'm bombing them and I'm doing it because I can,
Right.
pretty much. So it's just he sold them a dream. He didn't even bother to sell us a dream, so far from making America great again. He's just doing whatever the heck he wants because he can.
Well, this is Israel's war. Israel's wanted this for some time, and nobody's took the bait. Donald Trump took the bait. From what I understand, Benjamin Netanyahu was pointing out the first time they bombed him and how easy that went. Then Benjamin Netanyahu suggested, well, they were trying to kill you. This is a way to get back at them. And Donald Trump, loves revenge. Donald Trump honestly believed that he would go in there, bomb them for 3 days, and then tell the citizens, go ahead, overturn overthrow the government, and you're welcome. That's what he wanted to do. But then when it didn't happen, um, what he should have understood is that Benjamin Netanyahu played him, fucking played him, told him, oh, you got this. It'll be easy. You got to get him back for wanting to get you. And then Donald Trump bit, he does it. Now he's stuck in this situation. He tells, this is the thing that I find interesting. I was talking about it on TikTok. He comes out and he did it again yesterday. He said, yep, we won the war. We decimated everything. No missiles, no army, no nothing, which seems weird because Iran is still sending missiles into Israel and other Middle Eastern countries. So that isn't true. So he says, okay, we won this thing. We whipped their ass. Everything's great. Now we've got we want to negotiate a ceasefire. And my question is, if you pummeled them into the ground, why do you have to negotiate anything? Just go in and get your fucking spoils and get the fuck out. But now he's negotiating a peace treaty or ceasefire, and he says, "Yeah, we've been talking, and everything's going good. I gave them a deadline, but they stepped up and they're ready to do this and that." And then Iran goes, "No, we're not. We never talked to you." So nobody really knows what's going on here. Donald Trump's talking like we're going to come to some resolution here, and I don't think Iran has any motivation to end this war early. They've been planning for this for a long time.
They're not ending it early. So I don't in Russia right now, a lot of like I used to watch like Russian TV, certain like outlets and social media people from Russia that would like post updates and stuff like that and news clips, right? They can't
Yeah,
do that anymore because Putin has ended like internet connections out there too because
yeah,
yeah, it's crazy. So it's kind of like hard to get that, but I switched over and I started looking at like Iran and seeing what their government is saying. Our government isn't going to tell the truth. Let me hear what they saying. And they are openly saying on television that they are not even going to consider ending this war until after the midterms because it's about them taking down Trump. And they just kind of feel
Yeah.
like if the American people aren't going to do it, then we're going to do it. They are openly saying that. So this war ended before the midterms, according to them, it's just not going to happen because they really do want to take Trump down and hurt him. And they know the best way to do that is to keep this war going through the midterms. Now, when you think about that, look how much damage is being caused right now already. Like, if we pulled out of the war today, just said, you know what, we lost, we crazy, we leaving, we done. If they do that today, it's still going to be years and years and years to repair the damage that's already been done. And they are talking about taking this all the way through the midterms just to get at Trump. They don't care who they hurt. They don't care who is in their way. They're not worried about stuff like that. So the fact that Trump is out here saying that we won is crazy. And then when he was saying he's had communications with some magical person in Iran.
We don't know. He can't tell us. We think
They
he's in
made
Iran.
they made a post of like Donald Trump texting himself, pretending that he was texting them. It is the funniest post I have ever seen. And it was like, Donald Trump negotiating with Iran. And it's like pure comedy gold. First of all, I didn't know the Iranian people was this dang funny, but they are having a blast over there making fun of Trump. In the meantime, we over here suffering. They suffering too, but their government don't really care like that. But it's just funny the way that they calling him out and blasting him like that, and how our media is just completely taking him seriously. And they are over there like, yeah, he's over here making up conversations with himself. He's over here lying about who he's talking to. But the thing people don't understand is the reason that Trump goes around saying that he's talked to these imaginary people and just lying is because he's allowed to get away with it here in America. Don't nobody call him out on his BS. Don't nobody say, hey, when you said that guy was crying, who was that guy? What state was he in? When he says gas was $1.85 before the war, what states was gas $1.85 in, President Trump? Like, where was that at? Nobody
Yeah.
asked him follow-up questions. They don't call him out on his BS. So because he does it here at home, he feels that he could just do that in other countries, and he thinks they just gonna roll along with it like we do. And they like, nah, we don't do that. We don't do that. We call you out over here. And he is not used to that. But I'm happy that they calling him out, to be honest with you.
Well, Donald Trump has got himself in a fix here because the oil prices are going up. He can't really blame it on anybody. This goes back to what I've always said. No matter what Donald Trump does, he'll fuck it up. And he's fucked this one up. If he decides to pull out, he's got a problem because Iran's not going to stop bombing people. Donald Trump's going to look like a coward pulling out. Israel is all over them to keep them in the war because if Israel is left alone with Iran, Israel's probably fucking done. Saudi Arabia was talking to America saying, you got to keep doing it. You got to keep doing it. So they've got support by Israel and Saudi Arabia. Unfortunately, I don't think their interests are really true to what's good for America. They don't give a fuck about America. America at this point is a sacrificial lamb. Go in there, take your hits, do what you can do for us, and we'll try to clean it up as soon as you tear everything down. But again, Donald Trump is incompetent. Hegseth is incompetent. They can't prosecute this war correctly. They're going to fuck up.
They already messing up. And then I don't know, like someone asked Netanyahu if he would be open to like a ceasefire or, while Trump is negotiating with Iran. And he said during negotiations, they're still going to do whatever the heck they want to do until an actual agreement is met. He said that.
Yeah.
And the reason
Well,
that
that's
he
what he
felt
did in Gaza. That's what he did in
right.
Gaza.
And exactly. In addition to that, Netanyahu already knows he listens to the Iranian government just like I've been listening to them. And he has heard them say, we're not stopping nothing until after the midterms if we stop it after the midterms. So this is going to be going on at least through the midterms. He knows that. And so he's just like, why would we stop when they are not going to stop? Not saying
Right.
he was going to stop anyway, but it doesn't even make sense to talk about a ceasefire or stopping anything because it's already known that this is going to continue. Like even Netanyahu was like, I don't know what the hell Trump talking about. We still gonna keep doing what it is that we want to do because we can do it. Like he's not listening to Trump at all. Iran is not listening to Trump at all. So all of this lying and carrying on that he's doing right now is just maybe to hear himself talk. I have no idea why he's lying like well, I do know why he's lying like that because that's all he know how to do. But
Well,
it
there's another part of this too, though, that I hadn't considered until after somebody pointed it out. Donald Trump says, "I'm going to bomb all your power plants." Wall Street goes in the tank. Wall Street goes down. And then within a few 4 days later, he says, well, we're getting close to the deadline that I gave you. So we're going to give you 5 more days because we had good talks and stuff. And then the stock market and oil prices go down, stock market goes up. All his buddies, they're finding out now that there was $1.5 billion of investment that benefited from that drop and that rise again.
yeah.
Um, I don't know if Donald Trump is knowingly doing that. Whenever whenever he's tacoed out, like with the tariffs and stuff, I always thought it was because he was afraid with the stock market being affected so much. But maybe there is something to this intentionally doing this to generate more grift.
Well, yeah, of course. However, on the flip side of that is Donald Trump pushes and pushes and pushes and pushes until he cannot push any longer.
Yeah,
And the way that this is going to play out eventually is this market manipulation can only go on so long. Because
right.
what happens the next time that he makes a post to attempt to manipulate the market, but it doesn't work? And now
Yeah,
all of his little homies that he has, instead of gaining $1.3 billion, they lose $1.3 billion and some, right?
yeah.
So we can only manipulate the market for so long. And then that's not going to work any longer. And I don't think that Donald Trump has foresight to see that he can only do this for so long. He's going to push it until he can't push it any longer. When he can't push it any longer, he's not going to be out of any money, but certain
No, of
people are,
course not.
right? And so when certain people are out of money, that's going to create a problem. And I don't think that he has even considered that. He not even for a second, because if he had considered it, he would be more strategic about his market manipulation. He's just doing it out in the open, nilly willy, and a lot of times on the whim. Like there's no strategy to this at all. So he can only push it so far. So I'm just looking for when it doesn't work the next time. What is he going to do at that point?
Well, you probably recognize this behavior. I recognize this behavior. Donald Trump's always been able to manage things. Something happens and then he pulls back or he does something or he diverts or he distracts. But with every narcissist, it always comes to the point where that's unmanageable. They went
Yeah.
too far and they can't handle it. And going into Iran is one of those things because let's be honest, he doesn't like being in Iran now because it's affecting oil prices and stuff. So he's saying, "Oh, we got a peace plan and whatever." So he puts out together a peace plan, but he's the only one signing it. Israel and Iran don't sign it. So what's your option? You can leave and look like a fucking coward because you started this war, or stay in it because these people won't let you out. Donald Trump's all about being in control, and
Mhm.
unfortunately, in this war he's not in control anymore. It's Iran and Israel who are in control, and Donald Trump is just stuck. So now he's just flailing. This is what happens to narcissists in the end. They say shit, they do shit that's crazy shit. They're reckless with it because they're desperate to find something to hold on to, something to give them power again. But this
Mhm.
is the point where it never comes because they're too deep in it and the crash is imminent. And that's the upside to this. The only problem is with that crash, it's going to get even messier yet.
Yeah, and then like people don't understand with like a narcissism collapse. The reason that they collapse so hard and so bad is because they don't see it coming. Like the rest of us can see, you're standing on the train track and there's a train coming. You might want to get out the way. and
Yeah.
they cannot see that the train is coming. Not only that, but they'll turn around and look at us like we crazy. Like, what are you talking about? There ain't no train coming. They don't see it coming. And I think with Trump, when that train hits him, he gonna hit the ground so hard he gonna bounce twice. And if you see how big his ass is, you know that is gonna be a hard bounce, right? So
Yeah.
he's gonna hit really, really hard. Like his collapse is gonna be epic when he collapses. So epic.
You
And I'm
know,
here to watch it all.
well, people have said to me that he must be going through a lot of stress because of all the things, negative things going on. And I said, I hope so, but I'm not so sure that he is because he's so delusional. In his mind, in his little world, he probably thinks he's winning big. I mean, he's hearing things, but the people around him are afraid to tell him anything bad. So, as far as he knows, he's winning big and he's the hero and everything's going on. So, I don't know if he's feeling the stress yet. You
Mhm.
and everything's immediate with him. You know, he doesn't look into the future. He doesn't have any plans of anything. When you see him start talking, you have to understand this isn't some grand plan that he has or some grand explanation or diversion. When somebody hits him with something, he's talking in the moment. He's pulling shit out of his ass in the moment, saying
That's what
whatever he thinks at that moment is going to help him get out from underneath it. And that's why it sounds so fucking crazy.
You know, the perfect example of what you just said was, and I saw this yesterday and I thought to myself, who the heck is thinking that anything he's saying right now makes sense? Caitlin Collins asked him, hey, if we went to Iran because they were like building up like their nuclear infrastructure, whatever her question was, then why are we like, if we obliterated them the first time that you bombed them, then why did we start a war with them now? Like, I thought the nuclear weapons that they had was obliterated last year. And he was like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, totally obliterated. But if you got the right equipment, you could dig down under there and pull it up. What? Like, I think that Donald Trump doesn't understand that words have meaning and words matter. And when you use the word obliterate and total and destroyed and gone and wiped out in epic fashion, when you use that type of language, the average person will hear those words and their brains will connect to the dictionary and say, hey, obliterate means completely gone, wiped out, total, like it's just not there anymore. So when you say obliterate, but at the same time, you can dig under there and pull it out, that's not what an obliteration looks like. It's still there. So he's like really like on the fly, just like trying to get through one question to the next, and he's like completely pulling stuff out of his butt. It makes no sense at all. So like when you said that, it made me think of that Caitlin Collins question. Like he really is like just flying by the seat of his pants right now, and he's
He
just
is. Well,
all over.
the other thing narcissists do a lot is they talk in extremes. It's
Mm-hmm.
either the best
Oh
or it's
my
the
God.
worst. You know,
Yes.
we obliterated it or
Mm-hmm.
whatever negative option. And the only explanation the best explanation or example I can give is in my own life. And I noticed it when I was a little kid because my dad was a narcissist and he would always exaggerate things either way to benefit him.
Yeah.
And the best way I can explain it is so let's say I'm 10 years old, okay? And I want to do something that's of my age or maybe a little beyond my age, and he doesn't want me to do it. If I'm 10 years old, he'll look at me and go, you're fucking 9 years old. How the hell do you think you can do that? You know, no, I'm 10. You're 9 years old. So he'll work it down. But if I fuck up, he'll go, you're 11 years old for fuck's sake. It's always an exaggeration either way. And
Yeah.
that's exactly what Donald Trump does. It's either the biggest, the best, or the worst. And that's why you can't believe anything he says because everything he does talk about um, is a lie. Everything.
Yeah. Yeah,
Eh,
my daughter's dad was the same way. It's like you are the prettiest person in the world, you are the best person in the world, you're a great mom, blah blah blah. And that's on Monday. Tuesday morning, you know what? You're just a horrible mom. You can't keep the house clean. Heard the baby cry last night. Like I am the worst person on the face of this earth. You know what I mean? So it's
Right.
like you're either being love bombed to the extreme or they just stepping on you and just dogging you out. Like it's what there's never any like happy medium. There's never any
No.
like normalcy or any place that's like in the middle. It's either way, way far over here or it's way, way far over there. And that's exactly how Donald Trump is. He's never like, hey, how's your day going? And it's never like, you know what? I'm just having a good day today. It's chill. Everything went by pretty quickly. Hey, I'm having a good day. It's either I'm having the best day in the world. I got all these decorations going at the ballroom, blah, blah, blah. Or America's going to hell. It's all Joe Biden's fault. It's Obama's fault. He said he does it with his own self. You know, like the economy was rocking. It was great. It was perfect. Gas was $1.85. And then we got into this war. And now, you know, and it's just kind of like even with his own self, it's either one really, really far extreme or the other. There's never any center for him. He's erratic all over the place. It's interesting to watch somebody whose brain is like literally melting inside their skull as they talk.
The only consistency with a narcissist is that they're always the greatest, they're always the best, the smartest, the toughest, whatever. It's
It's
always the
always somebody else's
case.
fault.
Well, yeah, yeah, it's always somebody's fault. I mean, I told a story one time that my dad was doing some shady stuff. I had a business, you know, with my brother, and he put some money into it, which was stupid on my part. But he was doing some shady shit. And my mom called him out on it. And the first thing he said, now keep in mind, we're like 20 years old, 19, 20 years old at the time. We don't really know what we're doing, but we're
Yeah.
doing the best we can. And when she was calling him out, pressuring him and making him nervous, the first thing he said was, well, what about your sons? They're doing something illegal too. You want them
That
to
is
go to jail? That's a typical fuck. You know, both of but both my brother and I were broke as motherfuckers back then. So if we were stealing from somebody or being sketchy, we were pretty bad at it. But that's to the extent they'll do it. They'll go to think, well, what's going to make mom upset?
yeah.
If I put her sons up there, then she'll get off of me. And that's just how they think. They're that deceitful, and it's just something they pull out of their ass, and they say horrible things, um, things that uh, they will always burn every bridge, scorch every inch of earth. And
Mhm.
then you probably noticed this from being involved with somebody like this. They will do the things like you said, call you the most horrible person in the world, the ugliest woman in the world, whatever. I heard all that shit with my mom. But then the next
Mhm.
day, it's like all's forgotten and you
Yeah.
shouldn't even consider it. And now we're going to be nice and friendly and do all that stuff. That's the
Yeah.
sickness that they're dealing with. And Donald Trump does that too with people. He thinks he can kick their ass and then expect them to be nice to him. Case in
Yeah.
point, all our former allies in the Middle East and in Europe and stuff. Hey,
Yeah.
why don't you come out and help us? We killed them. We won, but we need help. So, and then they go, yeah, you know, we're not good. And then he gets upset and he starts threatening NATO, and it's just, I've seen it a million times on a smaller scale, and it just doesn't work. It's a sign of the final failure.
Yeah. That fool went to Ukraine for drone technology. Ukraine. He still talks bad about Zelensky to this day. And he
Yeah,
had the audacity to go to him for drone technology. Now, personally, if I was Zelensky, I'll use Debbie's words. I would have told him to go sit on a cactus. Very nice
yeah,
and politely. That's what I would have done.
yeah.
But Zelensky was like, oh, yeah, you know, you're not our friend, but your country is our friend, so I'm going to help you out. I would not have done that
No, I
because
wouldn't have either.
why am I worried about the American people when you were not worried about the Ukrainian people? Sounds like a personal problem to me, sir. That's how I'd have had that conversation. But other people apparently are better than me. But yeah, he would have been, if you don't have a cactus, I'll be more than happy to send one to you. And I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
you can you can get that pretty far up there. That's how I would have
Well,
went with it. But even when he had Japan and the way he disrespected this woman on national television at the same time that he's asking for help.
yeah,
What the hell is wrong with you? I just
yeah. You got the prime minister of Japan sitting next to you, and I'll be honest with you, that woman is a little fucking freaky too. She's a little Trumpy in her own way in Japan. And you have family in Japan, so you maybe know that. But then he brings up Pearl Harbor for God's sake because he thinks it's comparable to the question he's being asked about why didn't you tell your allies this? Well, they didn't tell anybody. It was so embarrassingly stupid. I don't even
Shocked
know what to
me?
say at that.
You know what shocked me the most about that? And I'm just gonna be honest with you. I like Donald Trump is just low class and tacky. So I was
Yeah.
expecting him to be disrespectful, especially she a woman too. Oh, all bets is out the window. But the fact that he knew Japan and Pearl Harbor, oh, that made me spin. I didn't know he knew that. To me, that was the surprise in the conversation because I did not know that he knew anything about that. Maybe somebody told him 5 minutes before the meeting or something. He had have enough time to forget it, but that to me was the most surprising part. Everything
Yeah.
else, I kind of
Having any historical reference that he could grasp is surprising because Donald Trump says some incredibly dumb things. Now, I want to talk about, I try to make a point of talking about the Epstein files every time I do something because a lot of people think that people are forgetting about the Epstein files, and it's not being forgotten about. We know that Pam Bondi may be um, well, she's subpoenaed and she's supposed to come testify about the Epstein files. She tries to undermine it by doing the little briefing. Well, I'm here now. Let's just ask some questions. No, bitch, we want you under oath. She tried to play a little game there. And even the Republicans are saying they're just trying to embarrass her. No, bitch, she embarrassed herself by doing this cover up. She needs to answer some fucking questions. And
yeah.
when we saw her testify before, you can tell she's starting to panic too. She understands that she's culpable in this situation. People keep reminding her. John Mitchell went to jail when he was Nixon's AG, and he wasn't
Yeah.
doing half as much shit as you're doing. She's got to be a little nervous at this point.
Yeah, because Pam Bondi, like, so you can look at Trump's administration and you can see people in different, I guess, different levels where you have a level of people who are just like evil and stupid, or you have a level of people who are just evil, but they're not stupid.
Yeah.
She know better. She evil and she know better. So she should be worried, rightfully so. And you know how I know that the Epstein files isn't going anywhere?
How's
I don't
that?
know if you know who New Rock Stars is, right?
Who?
But New Rock Stars. So
I don't
any
know them.
nerds, any nerds, especially if you are a comic book nerd, you know who New Rock Stars are. They have like almost 5 million subs on YouTube alone, like huge nerds, right? So the guy, Eric Voss, he held a live a few days ago talking about the new Spider-Man trailer that had just dropped. It was like an impromptu live. Like within the first like 5-10 minutes, it was like 10,000 plus people in the chat. And we're talking
Wow.
about arachnology, which is like the study of spiders and the
Fighters, right?
effects that it could have on the human body, and just making sure that the correlation between the actual arachnology and zoology is accurately depicted in the movie. It's fiction, but we nerds, so what the heck else is we gonna talk about, right? Within the
Right.
first 5 minutes of the live, Voss brings up a super chat, and the super chat says, "All caps, release the Epstein files." Now you have 10,000 plus nerds in a chat
Yeah.
talking about spider DNA, zoology, and arachnology, right? And somehow in that conversation with all of these nerds who really don't pay attention to politics because they're like nerds, so they got careers and all this other kind of stuff going on, talking about release the Epstein files. Not only that, but the host brings up the super chat. And Voss is like, yep, release the files. I don't care who all is in it. Release all of them. So if
Well,
the Epstein files is going all the way to New Rock Stars with a bunch of nerds, and I mean like nerd, I feel like so not smart being in that community sometimes because they know everything about everything. And if they are sitting here talking about, yeah, okay, the Spider-Man trailer was cool, but we need them Epstein files released. And then they can go back to talking about our nerd stuff. I was like, yeah, he's not escaping these Epstein files. That's just not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen at all. Because it's so ingrained in, I could say the culture, but it's like every culture, even like nerd culture. It's just like everywhere. It's not going anywhere. It's just not going to happen. He can give up on that dream. He can start World War III, and people are still going to say he only started in World War III because he don't want us to see them Epstein files. Like at the end of
Right.
the day, that's what they're going to say. So he can try, but it's crazy for
Well,
them thinking it's going
well,
anywhere.
and it's progressing the wrong way for Donald Trump too, because initially they said he's not in the files. Then we found out he was in the files.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't know Epstein. Well, now we find out he did know Epstein. They're buddies for 15 years and all that. And they say, yeah, but he wasn't implicated in the files. And then this evidence comes out that was pulled down by the DOJ, but it comes back out and it literally implicates Donald Trump in crimes against children, and it's very graphic in what they said about what he did. And then there's another one. So as we're progressing down this way, more and more information is coming out about Donald Trump, and I don't think he can. I don't think he can escape from this. It's maybe going slower than everybody wants it to, but it's going the right way. And Donald Trump looks worse and worse every day.
It's only going slow here in America, and I think that that's something that people should remember as well, because there are investigations going on in other countries. Look at Mexico; they out there like literally digging up land, and then there are the gotta remember like the UK is like, oh yeah, we're not supposed to play these games. We don't give a damn if you royalty or not. So there are other investigations going on. There's other avenues outside of the U.S. government that people are using to verify this information and also to target people who are in those files for nefarious reasons. And the Epstein estate and his surviving family members have absolutely no problem working with other governments. Like they're not covering up for him like that, which means they're not covering up for Trump either. So it's just like kind of what we are seeing in America is like in a bubble because the
Right.
rest of the world is in a completely different headspace right now. So I just try to remember that in America, it's just kind of like living in a bubble. We really are not paying attention to the world around us. We're just all worried about like our immediate interests.
Right.
And people should keep in mind that this is not going to go away, even if it's being censored or certain legacy outlets are not talking about it. It's everywhere. It really is. LBC is constantly talking about it, so it's not going anywhere. So it's still investigations going on, and then they report on it as well. So I think people need to keep that in mind also.
Do you think we'll get some evidence on Donald Trump or other people from America leaked out of these foreign investigations? I would presume we would ultimately,
Mm-hmm.
especially when he's doing what he's doing out there. People not only don't care about Donald Trump, now they starting to hate Donald Trump because of oil prices and all this sort of stuff, and people talking about pulling out investments and stuff. If they could crucify him with some damning piece of evidence, I got to believe they'd release that shit or at least leak it out somehow.
Yeah, I think that for them, when it comes to Trump and the files, it's more about like crossing T's and dotting I's and making sure that everything is where it's supposed to be. I wouldn't be surprised, like for me, if I woke up tomorrow and saw this big leak from another country, it would not surprise me at all. Not even in the slightest, because they're doing what we should do. They're taking it seriously and they want to get rid of people within their communities that would do stuff like this without hesitation. But then again,
Yeah.
other countries, they don't, you shoot one child in their school, they banning guns from everybody. They're not supposed to play that. They actually want to protect people and look out for people and care for people. We tend not to really do that here. Pay living wages. We don't do that here
Yeah.
either.
No,
It's
we
different.
don't. A lot of people trying to make the connection between Jeffrey Epstein and the whole cabal, as it were, with Israel
Oh,
um,
yeah.
and Russia. which
Hmm.
I find interesting. There's a lot of things that suggest that there is a connection there. Some people even think that Jeffrey Epstein was an asset. I mean, Jeffrey Epstein could have been an asset to Israel. Donald Trump is without question an asset to Russia. If you are assets and you're running this organization, and I've said it before, I don't think Donald Trump was just kind of involved on the periphery. I think Donald Trump was part of the business. I think he
Hmm.
was making money off of this. I think he was part of the recruitment and the grooming.
Yeah.
I think that's what we'll find out ultimately, that he was more deeply involved than I think a lot of people realize.
Yeah, because when you think about it, just think about any type of business that you own, just like any type of business. In what world do you own a hotel and you have 14, 15-year-old girls as masseuses in your spas? When, first of all, to be a masseuse, you need to be licensed for that. You need to go
Yeah.
to school for that. You need to learn certain techniques for that. So there's like a process. Like I can't just all of a sudden say that I'm a masseuse and start. I could give massages out of my house if I wanted to, but I cannot go into a business establishment and just start giving massages to any and everybody without knowing the rules that come along with that. There's certain rules in place, like if you see certain like pimples and bumps and stuff on people when you're giving them a massage, that if they are uncomfortable with you putting your gloves on, then you're not supposed to give that person a massage. Like there's certain rules and regulations in place when it comes to touching people, which it should be. But here you have Donald Trump with 14, 15-year-old girls giving massages to dirty old grown ass men. Like,
Yeah.
how is that okay on any level? So when people's like, oh, did they just need more and more and more and more proof? Some of these people, it's never going to be enough proof that Donald Trump and Epstein were basically co-conspirators. Donald Trump was getting the girls and Epstein was pimping them out. They was just going back and forth, hand in hand. They were working really, really well together. And the fact that people are like trying to ignore that aspect of it is, it baffles my brain. Why was these young girls in his hotel giving massages in the first place? Already, that's foul. That's just foul on every single level. That don't make sense. Anybody that can excuse that away to me is intentionally being ignorant.
Well,
Sorry, but
and the thing
sounds
about it is they can say that this document isn't true, it's fake, it's a hoax, and all that stuff. But there's a lot of parts of this that say otherwise. First of all, this particular girl in this situation was interviewed 4 times,
yeah,
and they wouldn't have interviewed her 4 times unless there was some credibility there. In
yeah,
addition to that, Jeffrey Epstein paid off this girl or a girl on behalf of himself and Donald Trump. You
hmm,
wouldn't have had to pay them off unless there was some significant evidence that you might think causes you problems in court. That story right there is enough that makes it worthy of investigation. And that's the question. Why was there no investigation? You just
yeah,
took out of hand that it was fake. Um, that's not a good answer. That doesn't work.
yeah. For me personally, is more than enough proof. However, from the party of, we don't need any proof when it comes
Yeah.
to Obama, Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, heck, Jill Biden. These people didn't even want to call her a doctor because apparently they don't know the difference between a doctorate and an MD, right?
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like they don't need proof for any of that. Like they don't need proof for babies being in a basement of a pizza parlor that has no basement. They don't need proof for any of that. But when it comes to Donald Trump and the Epstein files, they need to see him in a video, like Dave Chappelle said, in a video with his grandmother sitting on the sofa, taking pictures with 2 forms of state issued ID in order to say, yeah, that's Donald Trump. Like the threshold of proof for these people are non-existent. Like it is like non-existent. It does not matter any level of proof, the amount of proof that you give them, they are intentionally going to be ignorant to the fact that the man that they put on a pedestal is a pedo. They're just not going to be able to admit it to themselves. And those who do admit it to themselves are struggling because it's kind of like, how did we not see that? How did we not know that? And it's
Yeah.
just like, because you didn't want to see it, because you didn't want to know it. Because I remember the last election, and I remember all of us yelling our head off at these people. I remember being in marches, protests, knocking on doors, telling these people, showing them, and them still not believing it because they just didn't want to.
Yeah, I
It's
think some of
crazy.
these people just refuse to admit they're wrong. And I
Mhm.
heard somebody explain it one time. It's a mental issue where it's easier just to agree with whatever. I mean, we saw it with Megyn Kelly, when she tried to qualify what's a pedophile. She said, well, it wasn't like these girls were 8 years old. It was like they were 14, and those 14-year-old girls know what they're doing. Yeah, but it's still illegal. And to suggest they know what they're doing is fucking ridiculous. Um, but they try to equivocate it with something that's not really a big deal. And that's the weird thing is before the election, this was the most horrific uh, thing that they could possibly speak of. And now they're backstepping and trying to say, well, that's not so bad, and stuff like that happens. And it's frustrating, and that's why arguing with these people is pointless. The good news is it looks like there are people peeling away from Donald Trump's support. His pollings are the lowest in the 21st century for any president, anywhere from 34 to 36% approval rating. That's bad news for the Republicans going into the midterms. And the only way the midterms go better for the Republicans if things get better. But as long as Donald Trump is president, it ain't going to get better. It's going to get worse.
Right. And I don't understand the backstepping part, and I don't really understand them being sad. The only thing that I would think if I was in their position is I would just be pissed off and angry because
Yeah.
this is something that I truly care about, and this is something that I truly believe in. And the only reason that I supported you and the only reason that I surrounded myself with the rest of y'all fools is because I thought we was on the same page when it came to girls being abused. Like I thought we was on the same page when it come to that. And now I find out that y'all don't care about none of this, right? I don't think that I would be able to cry because I would be so pissed off about that. Like I would be really, really angry. And they don't seem to be like they seem like they more pissed off about gas prices than they are about what happened to these children, which is like
Yeah.
I can't, which tells me honestly that they really wasn't that passionate about it either. It was just like a talking point. It was something to kind of like throw in the face of people that they don't like. That they really just don't really, they just didn't care about it like that. Whether they want to admit it or not, they want to say that this is the reason that they were upset, but it's just kind of like, no, y'all not even really pissed off about it. You pissed off when you go to the pump and you see those Trump stickers. Y'all mad about that. But when it comes to Epstein and the files, it's just like I can't support Trump after this. I'm so sad. I'm so disappointed. No, we
Well,
pissed off. The
it's like
hell?
I think it's more important to them to prove liberals are wrong or own the libtards, so
More
they'll jump
important,
on any
these
they'll
people
jump
is
on any bandwagon.
these people is sick. Pissing off the libs is more important than children being abused. Pissing off the libs is more important than children going hungry or being unhoused or you losing. Like pissing off the libs is more important than anything on the face of the planet. This is like real life. This is people in their lives. It's not a sports team. Even people have more loyalty to their sports teams than they do to politics, and they should. Because I'll switch up on a politician in a minute. If I was somebody who had voted for John Fetterman, the only thing that I would be saying is wait until the next election. Just
Yeah.
wait. Like that's how I would be feeling about it. But I just think the reason they are not passionate and angry like we are is because maybe they just really didn't care that much about it in the first place. It really was about owning the libs and pissing us off. Like, where the hell did that get you? you
I can
know?
kind of relate to it and understand this is if I'm going to be 6 year old girl. But if I've got my granddaughter with me and my wife with me and I do something that ticks off my wife and she
Yeah.
kind of snaps at me, Junie jumps right on board. Yeah, Grandpa, why didn't you do it? It's the girls against Grandpa at that point, and that's the kind of way it was with these Trumplefucks.
Yeah.
They wanted to find anything that they could throw at the libtards because they wanted to argue with them. Yeah, you're
Mhm.
pedophiles. You're this. You're that. I think it could have been anything. To be perfectly honest with you, they talked about gas prices. They talked about they blame Joe Biden for everything, and I like to sit with the Trump and say, okay, let's just look at the facts here. How was unemployment when Biden was president? Now, how is it when Donald Trump is president? How were gas prices when Biden was president? And go right down the list. So
Yeah.
explain to me how it's Biden's fault if it's only bad when Donald Trump is president. And they don't want to hear that. They don't want to, they'll try to find a way to talk around it. And that's why arguing with these dipshits are just not worth the time. You're not going to gain any ground.
Mm-mm. One of our kids was like debating somebody who support, and this was like a child that's like 17 years old and a full grown adult that they were talking to. And the argument that the adult was trying to make was, well, Biden ignored rulings as well from the courts. Like, look at student debt relief. They said that he couldn't wipe everyone's debt clean, and he was going out here wiping everybody's debt clean. And this freaking 17-year-old was like, think about what you just said. First of all, he didn't wipe everybody's debt clean because my mom still got student loan debt. Second of
Right.
all, Biden found loopholes. Like,
Right.
oh, you're a nurse? Oh, did you know that when you got your student loan that you qualify for this grant or for this percentage or whatever? Oh, you didn't? Okay, well, since you've been overcharged in your percentage, then we're going to credit that money back. Oh, did that erase your debt? Good for you. Or, hey, you were a traveling nurse during COVID. Did you know that you were entitled to this X amount of money for your student loan debt? Oh, no? Okay, yeah, well, we're going to give it to you. So what he was doing was giving the loopholes to people who had student loan debt, everyday Americans, the same type of loopholes that they use. So he was using it for us. And then he was like, so compare that to Donald Trump ignoring the courts to do what? Take people's rights away? Like Trump is completely ignoring the courts for the detriment of other people. Donald or
Absolutely.
Biden, he obeyed the courts, but he found loopholes to help people. So how is your argument the equivalent to what I'm saying? And then that person, they were like going back and forth in the comment section. That person just didn't respond after that because it makes absolutely no sense. Donald Trump is going to ignore the courts and just do whatever the heck he wants to in order to hurt people and disenfranchise people. Joe Biden, he abided by the court, but he still found ways to help people. Like he went out of his way to do that. He hired staff to say, find me a way to help people knock down some of this balance on their student loans. Like just
Legally.
find a,
Legally.
yeah,
Everything Joe Biden did was legally.
find a legal loophole when I can help people. That's what I'm here to do. Like find me those loopholes. And he was out here. It's just kind of like it would piss like for me if I had student loan debt like that, it would kind of piss me off a little bit. Like I've been working and scraping and scrounging and going without and telling my kids they can't have this or that because I had to pay these dang loans. And the whole time I didn't have to do that. That they didn't tell me what I actually was entitled to when I got this loan. They charged me more interest than what they were supposed to, and they knew that. Like this is insane to me that rich people they have access to this and they don't even need it. But they're denying it to me, and I do need it. So it's like a
Yeah.
huge difference between Biden helping people the legal way and Trump hurting people illegally. It's just
Right.
it's crazy to me that people would even make those comparisons there. It's but yeah, Biden's the criminal, right? So
But Biden's a last thing I want to talk about, only because I know you have a unique insight into it. We know that the subsidies for ACA were not extended. And we know this is impacting a lot of people. From what you see from your vantage point, how bad is it out there?
Uh, it's not good. I'm gonna send you something. It's really, really not like that good. And the reason that it's not is because insurance companies are just finding a way to, it's like it's bad now, and it's gonna get really, really bad in 2027. And I think that I want to say like younger people won't be impacted as much because they can. Like the last time when I was talking about Dr. Oz talking about robots replacing OBGYNs and
Doctors,
yeah, you know what I mean? Like that's just crazy to me. And in addition to that, you have RFK out here doing absolutely everything he can to not vaccinate children. They went from
right.
I'm not anti-vax, I'm pro-choice for parents. If they want to vaccinate their children, they can. If they don't want to vaccinate their children, they don't have to. He went from that to absolutely not. None of these kids need vaccinations. Bring back measles, polio, mumps, bring it all back. And just do herd immunity. If everybody catches it and everybody is suffering from it, then eventually it'll just go away. When I say magical thinking, that's not even magical. That's just the Lulu. That's the worm never left my brain. He's still in there chomping around. Now, I don't think there's enough in there for the worm to get full, but he's still in there. He's still working on that plate, right? I just,
Now,
it's going to get worse. It's going to, and I think that it's going to affect the seniors more because some of the affordable plans are getting ready to go away. There's certain things that were covered before that's not going to be covered. And I think some of the like most the ones that I'm seeing right now, like already, are when it comes to like diabetic supplies. So certain monitors are not going to be covered. I don't know if you know what like a diabetic pump is, but
yeah,
they're like at a point now where they don't even want to cover diabetic pumps. There's like those DEXA scans or those bone scans. They used to say they were kind of like mammograms and physicals, like you get one free per year. So every year you can get your mammogram, your DEXA scan, and your physical and your labs. But that's going to change to where I think that that bone scan is going to be every other year. So if you have anything like osteoporosis, osteoarthritis, anything like that, it's going to be pretty difficult to it's going to be pretty difficult for you to get like early detection on that. So if you're feeling like kind of joints, aches and pains and stuff like that, you're just gonna have to pretty much live with it because you're not gonna be able to pay for those scans. So a lot of that
yeah.
preventative stuff, which is gonna prevent you from getting worse, the preventative stuff is just gonna go away. And I think a lot of that stuff is gonna affect seniors. And then also it's kind of like certain conditions that you have, they're not going to be in the same class that they're in right now. So endocrinology is going to be considered a chronic condition for diabetics, but it's not going to be considered like endocrinology as far as like thyroids go. That's not going to be considered any type of chronic condition. So if you got any like thyroid issues or anything like that, you need to see an endocrinologist that specializes in that. However, it's not going to be a chronic condition, so you're going to pay more for that. And then some of the affordable plans that they have, you're only going to be able to get the affordable plans if you have a chronic condition, but the chronic condition list is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So it's going to
Right.
be sad. It's going to affect our seniors more than anybody, I think. And the only
Well, I
reason
think,
is younger people can survive is just because they're younger. They don't have some of
right,
those conditions quite yet.
right. Well, one of the things I've said, and I want to see what you think about this, because, like, again, you come from a unique perspective. I think at this point, with what they've done to
I just sent you that.
Obamacare, okay,
Mhm.
thank you. Well, what they've done to Obamacare, the ACA, um, I think now is the time we stop talking about Obamacare subsidies and all this shit. We push hard on universal health. There is no excuse to not have
Mm-mm.
universal health. Every other country has it. We need it. We're the richest country in the world. There is no good reason to do it other than our members of Congress who are co-opted by the pharmaceutical, the insurance lobby, the medical lobby to keep it the way it is. Um, if we were able to get universal health care, people are going to say, yeah, but then all the insurance companies will go out of business. Well, they've
So
been raking in money. Well, as somebody who kind
I
of
work
works
in
in that
insurance.
field, what
Like,
are your
so
thoughts about that? What's that?
let them go out of business. I work in insurance. Let them go out of business. I honestly am from the perspective that me having a job as a person is more important than children getting the health care that they need, sick people getting the health care that they need. Like, it would be so selfish of me to sit here and say, well, I don't want people to have like insurance and have access to healthcare because I want to stay at this job. Like I don't know how to think like that. It just to me it doesn't make sense. But I don't think that healthcare workers or people in health insurance are just going to go away. They're still need like the workings of healthcare. So you do need people that are there to like whether book appointments, see patients, whatever it is, whatever role that you play there, they still need that. It's the only thing is instead of working for a healthcare company, they're just working for the state or the government or whatever. So that's the only difference. Like they act like if they got rid of health insurance companies, that you're gonna have like millions and millions of people out on the street without a job. And if that's your argument, then what's your argument against those just firing all these people for no reason? You didn't care about them. So now it's kind of like you want to care about people keeping their jobs when you feel like you want to care about people keeping their jobs. It's just BS. And I think the population to some point has been brainwashed into thinking that if health insurance companies went away, then all of a sudden when you go to the hospital, instead of waiting 8 hours to see a doctor, you're going to have to wait 10 hours to see a doctor. And ooh, that's the end of the world. Like they really do think like that. It's like you go to the ER right now and see how long you have to wait. Try to book an appointment with an MD, not a PA, APRN, or NP, with an actual MD or a DO if that's your preference, and see how long it takes for you to get an appointment. A
Yeah,
woman, try to call right now and get a pap smear. I live
yeah.
in a blue state and we struggling because our doctors is like going to other countries. Like we have like medical students doing certain stuff, but it's just kind of like it's insane to think that. And for us to sit here and think that we have to swing far left and get free health insurance or free health care in this country, it's not free, you're still paying for it, but that's
Yeah.
really, really far left and extreme. The rest of the
You
world
know,
is like, free health care? How is that extreme? How is that radical left? Like, that's just normal. Why do you pay taxes? Why do you pay your government? Like, what are they giving you guys? They ain't giving us nothing. We just
that's a
paying
good
them.
point. If we only had an example of the concept of the government providing health care that worked, if we could only show them something that does that, like Medicare or Medicaid. I'm on Medicare right now. I don't get it free. I get a decent, affordable price. Um, but wouldn't the insurance companies still be needed to um, administrate or facilitate this stuff? Couldn't they just still do that? They wouldn't make as much money, but they
Yeah.
wouldn't be doling out money either. So maybe it's a wash in the long run.
Yeah, the only thing that the difference would be healthcare companies will go from the middleman that's all about profit to being administrative and earning a salary. That's it. That's all. That's the difference. So it's not
Yeah.
like people just gonna be like out on the street cold out. That's just something that the right has been really, really good at propagandizing. And people really do believe that. When you try to tell someone that you do not, like, you can pay your taxes and the healthcare costs can be wrapped up into those taxes that you pay, they look at you like you speak in a completely different language. Like,
Yeah.
that's just like, look at any other country. That's the reality of it. Matter of fact, ask some of these white South Africans that came here and they don't understand why they have to pay co-pays when they go to the doctor. They don't understand that they have a deductible on top of the money that they already have taken out of their check. Like, wait, I
Right.
just paid for my health insurance, but I got to pay for the payment of the payment. Like, yeah, that's how that works out here. Just ask somebody from another country and they gonna like laugh at you. Like, y'all, why do y'all have to pay that? That makes absolutely like, what does your taxes go towards? What
Yeah.
does your taxes go towards? Either that or once they like, since now we have everybody's like, well, why are we helping Israel? They have free education, they have free healthcare, they actually have abortions on demand, right? So when you telling them like, well, they got free healthcare, we giving them money, why we don't have free healthcare? Then like the right will kind of like start to say, yeah, that kind of makes sense. Why they got free healthcare, we giving them money, and we don't have free healthcare? So what does the administration do? They say, well, you know what? If we had Medicare for all, the immigrants would just suck it all up. So that's like their new argument now that they're rolling with. It's like the immigrants are going to just take all of the health care. They're just going to take it all. I don't know what they're
Would
going
you
to do with it.
close?
Take it all? Do they pack it in a truck, or like where do they take all of the health care to? Like it's just so weird that they that they say that, but they do.
Plus, you tell us you closed the border, so I don't know why that's an issue. That shouldn't be an issue at all. I'm going to
Yes,
wrap up the Rational Boomer podcast because
if
I know
you
you
look
got to travel tomorrow. You got a long trip tomorrow.
if you look at that, so those are the only, if you look at there's one, two, three things, chronic conditions. That's it. Everything else is not a chronic condition. You on your own. It's crazy.
That's
I
bullshit.
did want to say, I did want to say one other thing too. We were talking about it before. I gotta save it to the end because I'll get emotional. But in Kansas, they introduced a trans bill to where in Kansas you have like markers on your license and your birth certificates, like your regular papers or documents, social security card, all that stuff got markers on it. And they just passed a bill that if you have a birth certificate with a marker on it, it's not accepted anymore. If you have a driver's license with a marker as of Monday, March 13th, your driver's license is not valid. And if you haven't gotten a notification in the mail, you're going to get a notification in the mail saying that your driver's license is no longer valid. The only way that you can get a driver's license is if you go to the DMV, surrender your driver's license with a marker on it, and you have to get a new driver's license in the gender that you were assigned at birth. Now, I don't know if that part of that is going to make them have to present on their actual photo ID as a different gender or how they're going to work that, because like a lot of these bills and laws that they're passing, there's really no details in that. So they're just passing
Never
legislation
is.
and there's no details in it. And the wild part about this, and I didn't know this till one of the kids told me, apparently Kansas is almost 3 million people. The people that is going to affect is between 1,700 and 1,800 people.
Yeah.
So you, 3 million people, sent like elected people to represent you. Gas prices is up, food prices is going up, you're canceling your health insurance, you're losing your jobs. You can't pay your rent. Like it's just completely out of control right now. And they are focused on
Yeah.
17 to 1,800 people not having a driver's license. I don't understand how any of these people really don't give a damn about you. They just want to hurt people while you keep electing them. And the reason that I'm passionate about it is because our children, like their friend was transgender and she committed suicide, and they had
Yeah.
a march in Kansas, and the kids we can't fly all y'all kids to Kansas, so they ended up written like one of those like school bus looking things, and they drove 19 hours to go to Kansas and protest and wear their t-shirt with their friend's face on it just to show support for the trans community that was there. And they were so disappointed that the bill failed. They already have seen like a couple of people that they met there took like screenshots of the letters that they got saying that their driver, like if you get pulled over right now as of Monday, you don't have a valid driver's license because they're not accepting that driver's license that they gave you. So
That's ridiculous.
disappointed that it went through, but you still have to show up, you still have to protest, you still have to support people that's being attacked right now. Even
Yeah, you do.
I don't know if Ed was about this or not. I didn't listen to the last podcast with him on there, but in Tennessee, they just passed a bill that the school has to report on like immigrant children's families. And from my understanding, from the people that I know there, it's just going to make immigrant children, their families not feel safe with them going to school because they're going to be reporting not just on the children, but on the family. So it's kind of like you have to report on these immigrant children and basically send ICE to their house is basically how that's going to go. So it's going to be a lot of immigrant children that's not going to be able to go to school in Tennessee, which is unfortunate. But all that
Yeah.
stuff going on behind the scenes because Donald Trump is a huge, huge distractor. Any encouraging words for the children that's feeling defeated after that protest and the law still passed?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, what time are you leaving tomorrow or today, actually?
I catch the first flight out at 5, but from
5 a.m.?
yeah, but from what we were told, we need to be there by like 2 o'clock. So the idea that we had was, hey, let's schedule for like that first flight in the morning or like that last flight at night and avoid all the flights in between. Apparently, we're
Yeah.
not the only people that think like that. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it was shock to me. Like I'm used to seeing like ice when I'm like out and working and stuff, but I left Vegas, went like no ice in the airports or anything. I get to Arizona and ice is like everywhere in that airport. They're just like walking around with their packs on. A couple of them had masks on. It was like, it was to the point Yaya was like, what's going on? Everything okay? And she's like, all these police? Like she was like looking around like she didn't know what was going on because they were not doing anything. They were just literally just like
Yeah.
walking around, being intimidating, which I don't know, intimidating a little 6-year-old if that's something you want to put on your resume. But they were just walking around. We did see a couple of them standing like behind TSA agents, but it was just so many of them. It's like, why do you need this many of them here in this airport? It just doesn't even make like there's not even that many TSA agents when they are not on a locked or a government shutdown. Like,
Right.
how are you doubling the TSA agents? It was shocking for me to see that many of them in an airport. But I will say the good thing about that is in these red states who have not had the pleasure of being graced by ICE's presence, I think a lot of them, when they're going to their airports and they're seeing this crap, it's a shock to them because now it's not on television. It is like in your state, in your city, in your airport, walking around, little children clutching to their parents because they just see a bunch of masked police officers and shit just walking around in this airport being intimidating. Maybe
Well,
they can kind of say that this is not a good idea. That's just
well,
crazy.
most of the places that the ICE agents are in airports, they aren't wearing masks. And there's a lot of videos of people with pictures, taking pictures of their faces, and they're running away like little bitches. And it's hilarious. Pussies.
Good. If you could look at my face, I'm getting pissed off right now just thinking about Yaya being uncomfortable. Like it was just insane to me that it was that many of them just walking around in there like they own the place.
Yeah.
Okay, but anyway, I think what do you think in a red state their reaction is going to be seeing this in their airports? Like, think they're going to be
We're
like, oh
not.
yeah, this is great.
I don't know because they're not very bright people, unfortunately, and they may enjoy it. But once it becomes a delay or a problem from them, then they'll be fucking whining about it. Because like I said to whoever I was talking to, I said, look, my wife works in an airport, and people come in there and they're stressed and they're talking shit to come to customer service people to
Yeah.
no end. What's going to happen when these ICE agents are there and these people start talking shit to them and they aren't going to want to talk shit? There's going to be a disaster at some point. Well, we already saw some in San Francisco where they grabbed some woman and they're all over and stuff, and people are freaking out around. It's a recipe for disaster. They don't do anything. They can't make it go faster. The lines are still long. So what's the point? You got these TSA agents working their ass off. They're making no money. They're not getting paid. ICE agents are there doing nothing and they're getting paid. And the reason TSA isn't getting paid is because of those ICE agents. So how do you think that fucking dynamic's going to be?
Yeah, because the ones that we saw at TSA, they were just standing behind the agent. And I thought that maybe they were like on the job training. Like that's what I thought when I saw them stand. I did the ones walking around, I'm like, I don't even know what that's for because there was still airport security, which is like, how are you being security, but there's airport security? So I thought maybe they're just making their presence known with them people and being intimidating. But the ones that were like actually standing behind TSA agents, I thought that they were on the job training. But then I was hearing that no, they can't do the
No,
the agents' jobs. Is
no.
like, so why are they there again?
It's a good question. I think that's a question everybody's asking. Well, if you got to get up at 5:30, it's what going on 9 o'clock your time. So you should get to bed and get up, get Yaya up, and get there at 2 in the morning. Yeah, so
Obviously,
you
that
got
food are like a sack of potatoes. She don't get up if she not ready to get up.
yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. Well, thank you for coming on and keep us up to date with what's happening over in Germany. Let us know what those people are saying because I think it would be interesting. And
I'll
just
be
be
back in.
careful. You'll
I'll
be
be
back.
back in.
What?
I'll be back in 2 weeks.
Okay. That sounds
Yeah.
good. That sounds good. For those of you listening, I want to thank you for taking the time to do that. I hope you have a great day and we'll talk to you again tomorrow.